I found this really neat looking Frigidaire Flair. It's kind of rough. It's real rough. I mean, look at those rust on its surface. The bottom cabinet, I mean, you can stabilize that rust and paint it. That's not really a big deal. But I like the way this thing looks so much. I think I might try to restore it. It did get broken. This glass is broken, but a lot of the pieces are there, just missing a few. And I grew up with a stained glass artist in the family, so we can do some of that, Tiffany copper foil and solder, and put that back together. But I'm mostly concerned about the most visible surface being that rusted, and seeing if I can restore the chrome. But what I'm going to get started is I'm going to take off this bottom cabinet. It's got a door that sort of stays open for the oven. And then it has this put away burner, which is kind of cool. Can you see all the pits? All the rust. So I don't know. I need to sleep on it. I don't know if this is something I actually want to take on or not. Alright, so I'm testing this, and this heating element gets hot. Before I clean it or buff out all this rust and try to do something about it, I just want to know it works. So that one definitely works. This one's getting hot. This one's getting hot. This one's getting hot. Okay. So the 4 burners are working. Now the big test, I guess, will be the oven. We're just going to set it at about 350. The second hand's spinning around. That's good. I can't adjust the clock. It's like stuck or something. Is there... Ooh, it's getting warm. The oven, I guess we need to check to see if the thermostat works. So I'm going to just let this go for a while. I just heard the relay click. The oven, the lower element was bright red. The relay clicked, and now it's gone off. And I'm just waiting to see if it comes back on. It is regulating its temperature. I mean, this is kind of unbelievable, because these came out, I think, in the 50s, the 1950s. And this is set in a garage for God knows how long. Long enough to just get destroyed. And it still works. Oh, man. I'm just waiting for that next click and seeing the element come on. Then I'm going to test the broiler. See what's going on. The reason why I think it's amazing this thing is still functioning is because my $5,000 Gen Air kitchen set that I got when I moved into this house, both the ovens have broken, half the knobs are cracked and broken, the microwave has died, and the dishwasher is rotting out. I mean, this is like 8 years old. I mean, it's garbage. It's trash. It's broken. And this thing appears to be functional. There's no gasket on the top of this door. There's just a gasket on the sides and the bottom. So it releases the heat. And this piece of glass, I took it off and I scrubbed it a little bit. It was just covered with, like, oven smoke deposits or whatever. Come on, turn back on. Okay, so I opened the door to rush it a little bit. And this lets some heat out. And now the element has come back on. So it's cycling on and off. So the thermostat that measures the oven temperature is functioning. Now, I'm going to turn it off. Oh, I guess that's the way you can tell. You can see what temperature it wants to come on and off at. So it is regulating temperature, so it's off there. Okay, so there's other ways to test it. So there's off. I'm going to go all the way to broil. So that's a different click on the button, and that should be turning on the upper element. Guess we could try to watch it. Let's get close. Let's get a close-up. Yeah, so we're waiting for this one to turn super red hot. And, I mean, you can already see it. It's turning red hot. Over here, see that this piece of metal right here? That's the thermostat. It's sort of dangling down low. That needs to be put up a little bit better. But other than that, oh man, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? 1960s technology here, buddy. It's working like a charm. Unbelievable. I'm going to see how long it takes to boil 8 cups of water. So, make sure I don't melt my phone. I have cold tap water. It is winter, so it's very cold. Make sure that doesn't bring this over. And I'm going to put that burner on high. And I'm going to start a timer. Alright, so this element is red hot. And we are at 6 minutes and 11 seconds. And the water is steaming. And there's bubbles all over the bottom of the pan. And it is bath temperature. So it's making boiling noises. And we are at, been doing this for about 30 seconds. We're at 12 minutes and 30 seconds. I mean, it's definitely boiling. It's not that raging boil. But you don't typically get that in a pot this big. So let's just say 12 minutes to boil 8 cups of water. And then I'll keep the timer going and see if it gets even hotter. Well, you know what? We're there. And it's 13 minutes 45 seconds. It's a raging boil. It's hot as hell. That's amazing. This just blows my mind. That's like the same speed as my gas range right now. Maybe faster, honestly. I think it's faster. That's cool. Infinite heat. So undeniable, out of control boil at 14 minutes. Incredible. Alright, I'm going to text this to my girlfriend. Yo girl, this old stove boils 8 cups of water in 12 minutes. I'm going to turn the other 3 on the high, just let them get red hot. Make sure they can do it. Okay, so these other elements get red hot. That's cool. That's to be expected. So the finish here, which is rusted, so this is, I've got a magnet. So this is, you know, magnetic everywhere. And the top is magnetic as well. So this appears to be, it looks like nickel. So I think it's a nickel plated steel. And, you know, that's like an electrolysis process or whatever. So where the rust has come through this bad, you can't clean it off. That is actually destruction of the nickel surface. So I'm not real sure how I'm going to fix this, but I'm leaning towards, you know, to spot wire wheeling, sanding, trying to buff it where it looks kind of shiny, and then coating it with something. So these rear burners are brighter red than the front ones. I wonder if they saw less use. But I'm going to just turn all these off. Well, actually, there is... I'm going to leave this front one on. There's a safety mechanism. It looks like in the back there's a button to turn these off when the drawer is closed. I'm going to test that. So I'm going to let these two go back to black. This will be hot, but I'll shut this and pull it open in a couple minutes and see if this one's red or not, because it's pretty important not to have that much heat trapped inside of the machine. Okay, so the indicator light up here is still on with this thing closed, and I mean, it's expected this to get hot because I mean, those elements were just hot as hell, so of course this will get hot enough to burn you. But let's just, it's been maybe 45 seconds, let's look. Alright, so it's not red hot, and then if we pull it out, this thing should decide to get red hot again. So I think that safety mechanism where it doesn't turn these on with the door closed is functioning. Best I can tell, other than the clock having a few little issues, this thing is fully functional. That's mind-blowing. And why they would take something so interesting looking and shove it in a garage and not use it is beyond me. Because this is cool. This is really cool. Alright, so this is definitely getting hot. So the safety for when the drawer or when the stove top is retracted, not turning on, that is functional. Well, hell, I might have to fix this thing. Yeah, I think it's worth my effort. I'm not going to restore it. Restoration sounds very hard. I mean, if you wanted one of these, they're on sale. I was checking out Facebook Marketplace. There's 3 of them. You know, I live in North Texas, so there's 1 in Texas and 2 in Oklahoma, and they were like $300 to $700, and they looked good. So, I mean, the amount of effort it would take to restore. I mean, if you just went out and worked, you could go buy one of these within a week or 2, right? So I'm not gonna do a restoration on this. I'm just gonna prettyfy it. You see, it's rusted through the nickel plating, and it's totally destroyed and very ugly. But I was watching this YouTuber, and she electroplated with this wand. I mean, she used a tampon, and she made, for the anode of the electroplating thing. She's electroplating copper, and I'll need to electroplate nickel. I mean, look at this. She's electroplating with a tampon stick thing. I mean, that's incredible. So I'm thinking I could spot electroplate. It won't be, it probably won't be nearly as thick and as good as the original, but if I could just cosmetically make it better, that would be absolutely incredible. So what I need to do is I'm going to make an electrolyte solution with nickel in it, at least what I hope is nickel, and try this. So the YouTube channel who is inspiring me is Laura Kampft. And then there's another guy who I'm going to follow his video for electroplating. So then this guy, Restore and Make, he has a easy DIY nickel electroplating video where he goes through and he makes the electrolyte solution, buffs and polishes the surface, and then he plates. And it just so happens that I have all the things you need to do it. So, you got to have a power supply of some sort. Some people just use batteries. You need a container. You need some vinegar. You need some salt. You need nickel. To nickel plate, you need nickel. And reading up on it, a lot of welding rods are nickel. Some of them are like 99% pure nickel, and some are like 59% nickel. I have no idea what this is, but I was looking through all my various welding rods, and this one, unlabeled, mixed together with a bunch of other rods. So, I mean, I have no idea what they are, but it looks like the right rod, and it definitely looks like nickel. It's a little bit brighter of a nickel than what's on the stovetop, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna turn one of these rods into the anode and the cathode, and create some nickel electrolyte solution. So first thing I need to do is get the flux off of this rod. So I'm gonna just try. Oh yeah, it's working. Ugh. Let's see if I can get the rest off. Alright, so we just got to see what this does. I guess I could actually order some nickel. But yeah, this is the jar I use. I don't have much vinegar on me, so I'm just going to use this jar. I'm going to cut this in half. Bend these so they go in there nice. So somewhere around there. So if those are nickel, we got that. Let's toss some vinegar in there. Guess we'll just put everything we got. So I'm going to connect a positive to one side, and here's a negative. I'm going to turn this power supply on real quick. So we're going to put some salt in it. This is iodized salt, which is probably not what you're supposed to use, but I don't have any uniodized salt. Or the salt that I have that's uniodized has other stuff in it, because it's some fancy sea salt to prevent clumping or something. So let's just see. Let's see what a little bit of salt will get us. A little bit. Not going to do much. Okay. Let's see how much. I'm going to crank the amps way up, see what we can do. So everything's set to max. And we're getting 1/3 of an amp. Well, I guess 0.3 amp. I'm going to add a little bit more salt. See if we can get this up to maybe, oh yeah, there we're going. If we can get this solution to go up to 1 amp and then back it down. So we're going 28 volts right now. That's way more than anyone ever says we need. Oh no, those are amps that I'm twisting. Let's just crank the voltage down to 6 volts. So we're not even putting a single watt in there. I'm going to just max it out again. So the cathode is bubbling like crazy with this much voltage being forced through it. But that's higher than anyone typically does. But I'm just going to creep up the salt just a bit more. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but we can see the numbers. Every time you add salt, the conductivity gets a little bit better. So here's a shot of this potential electrolyte solution at, I guess, 2 minutes in. But you can see the bubbles coming off of the negative charge, the cathode. And then you can see the anode not bubbling. A lot of guys on YouTube wind up waiting a day or two to use their solution. So we'll just have to do that. I cranked the heat way up just to see what would happen. I've totally dissolved that one. And then this one is you know, getting some buildup. I still have no idea of the metals that I'm using, which probably isn't safe. I should have just bought some nickel electrodes. I think I'm putting iron into solution because, so if you look at this, it appears the core is maybe iron and the outside is nickel. And if that's the case, that means the rods that I'm using are the nickel 55, which have like a, you know, an iron core with nickel on the outside, and then a little bit of, you know, carbon, silicon, magnesium, phosphorus, sulfur into the mix. But since these are unlabeled, I really have no idea what I'm doing. But anyways, yeah, whatever. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm just going to see about filtering this. I have a coffee filter inside of a funnel, and I'm going to see if I can, what if I can pour this without spilling. Alright, we're just going to try this real quick. So I took the screwdriver tip to a wire wheel. I got muriatic acid inside of here. Ooh. The acid is changing color real quickly. It might be because I'm using a aluminum wire as my conductor. Uh-oh. Now I've lost the tool in there. Shit. So we're going to do this for just about a minute. Let me get some rinse water. So what we should be doing is we're eating off all the rust from this tool. I'm going to call that a good acid bath. And I'm just going to stick it in the rinse water. I'm just using tap water. In theory, we have etched this piece, and it is now ready to accept an electroplate. I don't know. So I'm going to hook up my negative. This will be the cathode, and this is where whatever material I managed to dissolve in there should migrate to. So I'm going to go ahead and just crank the power up. 7 volts is a bit high, but that 1 amp looks pretty good. You know what? Yeah, whatever. We'll do 7 volts and 1 amp. And so I'm going to do manual agitation, because those bubbles will cause divots, right? So I want to try to get just a slightly better looking outcome. Okay, so it's been about a minute. We could probably go further. You can see it's bubbling away. Let me pull this out. Oops, I'm over here in the rinse water now. Let's see what's going on. I guess it's a nickel color. What metal do you think I deposited with this mystery rod that I dissolved into vinegar? Is it food safe? Should I put it on a cooking surface? Do I trust unknown chemistry? Right? Because I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing like things I read on the internet. It might be better to just go, I might feel better just buying a nickel electrolyte solution and trying that for my project. That's what that lady with the tampon wand electroplating did. She just bought it instead of making it. But it looks like it worked. There's if I actually tried harder to prep the surface versus doing a little test run like that, I could get some decent results. Wonder if I should buff it, see what it looks like. See if it buffs off. I don't know. But, yep, that's that. And there's the one that doesn't have a coating on it. They're certainly different. Alright, I'm going to try actually plating something. That doesn't matter. I'm going to do another test run, but try hard to plate this foot. I'm going to start with mechanically cleaning it. So I tried, but the inside, it's not easy to get a lot of action on that. And the bottom's pretty pitted, so I'm just going to roll with it. Okay, so I'm just going to start with the first degreasing bath, and that'll be some dish soap. So now do a second stage. This is a all-purpose degreaser. Degreaser. So now I'm gonna do a pickle. So this is just tap water, okay? The acid that I found is muriatic acid, and it says it's 31.45% hydrogen chloride, and that's pretty strong. That's like a violent reaction when rust enters it, and it bubbles like crazy, right? I mean, we saw that with this piece. So we're going to dilute it. And if you have 30% and you want to take it down to 5%, you know, so 1 part at 30%, how many more parts do you need to get to 5%? I think you just divide, 0.3 by 0.05, and that goes in 6 times. So you want to dilute it, 6 parts acid to 6 parts, whatever. And you might need a little bit stronger acid, but the internet seems to think that amount is okay. Let's see if I can just spill this all over everything. So, if that's 5 parts, somewhere right there would be like 6. So, and they say put the acid in the water. I think. Hope I'm doing this right. Oh god, I just spilled it. Ooh, that's a gluggy gluggy chug chug. That's no good. Okay. So we'll claim that's diluted. It's diluted to some degree. Get the cap on nice and safe. Let's give it a pickle. So even that's a pretty powerful reaction. It's doing stuff. Everyone says wait for a minute or so. Transfer it to a bath. And this is just water. Let's just advise the cheat sheet real quick. So the anode is what loses molecules, or I guess these are atoms, and because nickel's an element, right? So, and then the cathode attracts it, and it gets plated to the cathode. This this is the shape of my my anode. I was using it as a cathode for a while, so it has grown all these crystally things. So the anode's positive, the negative is going to hook to this little foot, and I'll figure out what I'm going to do. Now I need some power, and ooh, a lot of gross grungies in here. Yeah, we're like 5 minutes into this, and it's definitely plating the parts that were clean, but places that had the iron oxide, it's not going to plate those. So I'm basically just plating the threads, because that's the only thing that got really clean, and the edge of the inside of this thing. So I'm going to try a higher concentration acid on a less well cleaned part and let it eat the rust for a while, and then take it and try to buff it up. Okay, so here we have straight muriatic acid out of the bottle. This is the 30% or 31.45%. So this should be a much more violent reaction. See, this has some scale, has all sorts of stuff. So let's see what it do. Well, we're pushing, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes. Starting to look pretty good. So it's not doing a whole lot right now. I mean, it's still bubbling a little, but the spots aren't getting any better. Just out of curiosity, if this acid still has some reaction left to it, I'm going to put this other one in it. You know, it's not doing much. Alright, I got some fresh stuff. I think my part is still pretty acidic though, because this is bubbling away over here. But let's see if we can finish this reaction. Oh yes, doing stuff again. That's cool. Okay, I'm just going to call it and plate it, because this is just a foot. I'm tired of screwing around. So let's dunk it in there. We'll let this one do something for a while. This is at 5 volts and 0.7 amps, and it's doing something. It's been in here for like over an hour already. I'm just gonna go thick. Like, I have no idea what this chemistry is, and I don't care. I'm going on thick, boys. Alright, well, this wraps up this little experiment. I guess I learned what I needed to learn. I can plate. But, you know, the problem is, like this welding rod, I have no idea what it's made out of. This is unknown chemistry here, and I'm just not going to use this on the stove top. I believe what I'm going to do is I'm just going to order a nickel electrolyte solution and make a little wand and plate. But what I have learned from this is how important and critical cleaning the surface is. So surface prep is absolutely critical. Even in these that set in the acid for a long time, still have so many imperfections in them. I mean, look at all that rust coming through there, and then all the rust that's still on here. I mean, I plated it decently, I guess, but yeah, the surface is terrible. I mean, it was rusted and pitted out, stuck it in acid. It got etched really heavy by that acid, right? And the plating gave it a acid etched coat. So yeah, another problem is, what the hell do you do with your old solution? I was online, and they're like, we'll call the city and see if they'll pick it up. And then, you know, I get on my city's website, and they don't take anything that's not in its original container. They only take household chemicals in their original container that are unused. They won't take some mystery solution, you know, that I'm calling vinegar or whatever. So I guess I need to evaporate this and let it crystallize and then throw it away. Yeah, I got no idea. The muriatic acid, that's easy to get rid of. I could dump this in the toilet and let it eat the calcium deposits off of my toilet and flush it away. That seems to be an acceptable method for getting rid of that. Is that readable? Look at this. This vinegar that I used, it said it was best by 2015. So does that mean it's like, you know, a couple few years older than that number? So anyways, just, I don't know if vinegar goes bad, but this is pretty old. You know, maybe it's 8-year-old vinegar. And then my nickel source, I'm not even sure if it's nickel. I mean, it's green, so you would assume it's nickel. But when they're talking about using welding rods as a source of nickel, they're not talking about these, like, you know, arc welder rods with the flux on them. They're talking about the pure nickel rods that they use in, like, TIG welding and stuff. I haven't, you know, priced those to see if you can buy individual rods or if you have to buy like a whole pack of 20 or 50 of them or whatever. So you know, I wouldn't use one of these. I just, you know, that's goofy. This is just an experiment using things I had around the house for my own entertainment. It's entertainment purposes, not even educational purposes, this section of the video here. But yeah, I've more or less decided. I think I'm gonna try to make this thing look pretty. I think it's neat. It's not worth putting a whole lot of money into it. I kind of like projects and putting out effort into things. But the deal is, like, I was on Facebook Marketplace. I could just drive up to Tulsa and buy one of these that looks pretty right now for $300. You know, they're still all over the place in good working order and getting sold because, yeah, I guess back in the day they knew how to build stuff that lasted forever. And I just want to fix these condition issues. And I really think the best solution for me would be go on, you know, I don't know, Amazon or eBay, buy a little vial of the nickel solution and make a little wand. I was thinking about, you know, a piece of maybe nickel rod, and then wrap polyfill, like the pillow stuffing, around it, and then shove it into a PVC pipe or some, you know, thing, and make a wand, kind of like what we saw in that lady's video with her you know, tampon electroplating poo nanner device, and just lay down some layer of protection over this. And I'm glad I did this experiment, because now I know that I'm going to have to not just grind the rust off, but I'm going to need to resurface this as smooth as the rest of it if I want it to look halfway decent. So I watched a video of a guy hand polishing an axe head with sandpaper, and he went through, I don't know, to polish it to a mirror finish, this steel axe head. I think he went up to 4,000 grit, and he started at like 30, and then he went to like 60, and then on and on and on, all the way to 4,000, and then he buffed it, I think, with some sort of compound at the very last. So I'm not going to go to that extent, but some level of extreme surface prep in order to have a decent outcome, and a better, you know, nickel solution besides some mystery welding rod that's unlabeled, mixed in antique vinegar. You know, that's you know, that's just goofy, right? So yeah, that's what I know, y'all. And yeah, if you find some old appliance that you fall in love with, I don't know, it might be worth putting out the effort to make it pretty enough to bring it in your house. I'm just so impressed by the quality of this thing lasting all these years. And actually, so the house that I got this from, I was up in the attic, you know, I'm helping to clean out the house, and so this is a piece of junk from the garage that I stole it, right, versus sending it to the recycler. And I found the box for the refrigerator. So, you know, at some point in the 60s or whenever, they bought a whole kitchen set, and this Survivor might have been the last functioning piece, and maybe it was still in the house when the new owners bought it 10 years ago. So the guy who's selling his house, he bought it 10 years ago, and this was in his garage. So I kind of think that he removed this from his kitchen as late as, you know, 2010 era. So this might have been in continual use from the 1960s to 2010, when he got rid of it to put in a new appliance. You know, that's just all speculation, but it you know, the boxes for are used as insulation in the attic of that house, and this was in the garage. So I think it was bought new, put in that house, and it stayed in that house all these years, all these decades, until I stole it. So anyways, I don't know. Ta-da! This is the future. This is the future of stovetops. I don't know. Shit.